gotta be honest, I had full intention of doing what everyone else here on YouTube is doing and dressing up in a suit for my Bond review and this Bond ranking. To tell you the truth, I don't even think I own a suit anymore. Like, there's not one in my cupboard. I might have one in the loft, but I ain't going out there for it. So, I'm just gonna wear normal clothes. I hope that's alright. Anyway, hello and welcome back to another video, guys. Now, that is right. Today, we're going to be ranking the 5 Daniel Craig 007 James Bond movies. Now, before we get started, big spoiler alert. Big spoiler alert, because we are going to go into spoilers on all of these movies. And, of course, one of them's only been in cinemas for not even a week. So, No Time to Die spoilers. Yep, if you haven't seen No Time to Die, I would really recommend going and watch it. And then as soon as you've watched it, like as soon as you get out of the cinema, come watch this. Only kidding. So yeah, big spoiler alert. So I've warned you. So today we're going to be ranking them. I didn't want to do all of them because, as you can see, I have this beautiful box set here, which this goes all the way up to Quantum of Solace. And of course I have Skyfall, Spectre here on the shelf as well. Big Bond fan. I grew up with Bond. I've been watching Bond all my life. Literally, my dad is like a big diehard Bond fan. It's like the only thing, movies, TV-wise, TV shows, dramas, because he likes his sport. But the only thing that my dad really loves, whereas I have Star Wars, Doctor Who, Marvel, there's loads of things I absolutely adore. My dad adores Bond. So I grew up watching all of these movies, so I've been familiar with Bond since I could probably think. However, I'm not going to rank them all, and I'm not going to do them all because I'm not familiar enough with some of the old ones. I haven't watched them in years, and if people want me to do like Roger Moore, Sean Connery, blah blah blah, I'll have to go back and rewatch all of that era. And I'm not saying I won't do that, but it probably won't be anytime soon because I've just rewatched all of the Craig ones building up to No Time to Die. So I'm a bit bombed out at the minute. So rankings of the other Bonds probably won't happen anytime soon, but they might happen at some point. But anyway, today we're going to do the Craig ones. Should we just get started? Because we're 3 minutes in more or less and I've been rambling. So my least favourite Bond movie of the Craig era is Quantum of Solace. Yeah, this ain't a big surprise, I'm sure, to anyone. I think this is like 9 times out of 10 people's least favourite one from the Craig era of Bond films. Why? I think the story just lacks an interesting direction. Like with all of the other ones, you do get an idea of what the major threat is, who the big villain is. But with this film, it just sort of just feels very loose. Like there wasn't a clear sense of direction. The film opens up really quick, throws you in the deep end. You get a song which is really forgettable. The title sequences, these are my least favourite of the opening title sequences that we get from the Craig era of Bond films. And as I say, with a very forgettable song in my opinion. I think Daniel Craig was good in this movie, and I don't mind the Bond girl. She's alright. I mean, you kind of get two. You've got Gemma Arterton, who's sort of in it at the start, but she is very just casually thrown away. She comes into it, and before you really get any time with her character, she's gone. The villain is really poor, I think. Really poor. And I think whereas films, films are built on structures of 3 acts, and Casino Royale, Skyfall, No Time to Die, and even Spectre, which also suffers a bit from this, but the Quantum of Solace suffers from it on a major level. The 3-act structure is a mess here. Like, it's sometimes hard to pick out when the acts end and stuff. It's just very sloppy, put together movie. The action, while it's fun, some of the car chases and stuff, the way it's shot, very messy. It's very hard to tell what's going on in a couple bits. Like, sometimes there'll be shots where they're fighting down one road and then they've hit a corner and they've gone somewhere else. But it's hard to pick up on that because the camera angles are so sloppy and stuff. And the action sequences just don't flow very well. Overall, Quantum of Solace, not a great movie at all. And on rewatch, because it was only my second time watching it earlier this week, it wasn't as bad as I remembered. but it's still not very good. I'm going to give Quantum of Solace, I'll give it a 6 out of 10. I'm being a bit kind. It definitely would have been under a 5 if I hadn't rewatched it, but I'm going to be a bit kind. I don't think it's a bad movie. It's just definitely the weakest film we're going to talk about today. And it sort of stands out like a sore thumb in the Craig era of Bond films. And it's very forgettable. Like, even the next film I'm going to talk about is more memorable than this one. So the next film I'm going to talk about, the film coming in 4th place, is Spectre. Yeah, I remember this film coming out. Went to see this one, and I remember being bored to tears in the cinema. Absolutely bored. I remember thinking, this ain't bad. It's not Quantum of Solace, but it was very boring, I thought, first watch. I rewatched it in the build-up to No Time to Die. And again, like Quantum of Solace, I enjoyed it more than I seem to remember enjoying it. This film definitely has issues. The structuring, again, I thought, like, when they were having the big fight out in the sand duny place, I forget where they were, and Christoph Waltz has got the drills on Bond, I thought that was the last act. You know, Bond runs out there, it looks like he's destroyed all the Blofelds. That guy's. Christoph Waltz's character, of course, Catman from the original. It looks like he's destroyed his base, his army, and it looks like Christoph Waltz was in there when it went up. It's like, oh, that's the end of the movie? But then there's like another bit chucked on at the end, and I felt it was very weirdly put together like that. But there are some good things about this movie. The action scenes are really well shot. I think Craig is good in this movie. The new Bond girl in this one's pretty good. Not as good as Eva Green in Casino Royale, but she's pretty good. I think Christoph Waltz is a fantastic villain. I think he plays a fantastic villain. I just wish there was a bit more development. I love those eerie villains, which are like the big badass bosses who have been lurking in the shadows. However, that does actually tie into a huge problem with this film, which I'll come back to in a minute. The opening scenes, Day of the Dead in Mexico, I thought that was brilliant. So well shot. The music was tense as well. Really great. Just so many good bits there. I even like the bit where he lands on the couch. I think it's funny. It's got the Bond charm. It reminds me of the Roger Moore era. Love that stuff. The title sequences look incredible. Like, incredible. Like the octopus thing, like pulling the trigger on a gun. Amazing. It's a shame that Sam Smith decided to make the worst Bond song ever. Like, genuinely, I think it's probably the worst one. It's terrible. Awful. It's not a good song in general, let alone for a Bond film. So yeah, that happened. And the film sort of moves, I think, until the last act really well. And as I say, the last act, it sort of just gets confused. It trips over itself, like I said. It's like, this is the ending. Oh no, wait, we've got this bit at the end. The real issue I have with this movie, I think, isn't that, because, you know, you've still got a couple fun action sequences there at the end of the movie. The real issue I have with this one, I hate it when films do this, is we've had 3 films before this. We've had Casino Royale, Quantum of Solace, and Skyfall. And now this film's like, oh, by the way, all of those guys were sort of working for Christoph Waltz's character, and it's like, Christoph Waltz has actually been behind everything, and I have to spend so much time trying to explain it and trying to get that through the audience's head. Like, it comes up like 3 times. It genuinely weakens the film, weakens the plot, and it takes you out of the movie. It really does. And this film suffers a lot from that. While I think this is a decent film, there are some huge problems with it which really pull it down, which I think, thankfully, No Time to Die was able to pull back on. Yeah, not a bad movie, not great. I'm going to give Spectre a 6.5 out of 10. So, yeah, I'd say the Spectre and Quantum of Solace both suffer from some big issues. But anyway, they're not bad. Now we're going to move on to some slightly better stuff here. Coming in 3rd place is No Time to Die. That's right, the latest Craig film. I've just reviewed it here on the channel. And it's interesting because when I walked out of the cinema with this film, I enjoyed it. But I was not impressed with the idea of them killing off Bond. I was not. film my review, I'd warmed to it. I was like, do you know what? They've done it well, but I still don't like the fact they killed him. Not a fan of that. I just feel like, as someone who's watched Bond all my life, the idea of him dying just didn't sit well with me. Now, it's been, you know, even longer. I've had a lot of time to sit and think about it. I still wish they hadn't killed him. But I really warmed to the idea that, you know, these Bond films are their own thing. They're not connected to any of the other ones. This Craig Bond thing is a separate story. It's got its own charm to it. The thing, it's just very confusing, this whole Bond universe in a way. Because not that things have to be connected, because, you know, there's so many franchises nowadays because of Marvel that want to connect everything, and I get a bit sick of it, to be honest. It's like Judi Dench come over from the Pierce Brosnan era, so it's like, are they connected? I don't know. It's all very up in the air. But I'm now taking these Craig films as their own films, and it's a bittersweet end, I think, for the character, which I'm warming to. I'm not as upset as I was. I respect them for having the balls for doing it. Something in the back of my head still going, I wish they'd gone another way, which is a big impact when I think about these films overall, because the two films above it, there's nothing like that in them for me. Whereas this one, there's that. It is too long. It is too long. You know, it done very well with the pacing, this movie, to keep up with its extremely long runtime. But there are a few scenes which are a little bit dragged out. They could be cut down. There's no doubt about it. Saying that, I think it genuinely would only need about 15 minutes trimmed off it. Not long at all. Really loved the opening of the film. I thought it was really cool. It kind of reminded me of, like, the ending of Her Majesty's Secret Service, almost. That really nice kind of, like, Bond settling down and stuff. We get the opening titles, you know, which are really well done again. Billie Eilish doing the song. It's alright, I guess. It's much better than Sam Smith's, but the next two films we're going to talk about are better Bond songs. So, and I think this film does a great job at making Bond more emotionally attachable than he ever has been. Like, this is the most emotionally attached I've been to Bond himself. Sort of rivals Skyfall, I think, in overall emotions, maybe even a little bit more, which I think is pretty cool. They really developed the Bond girl from the previous movie, Spectre, because she returns in this one. They really develop her really well. You got some great additional characters with the new 007. Really liked her. Ana de Armas's character, for the small scene she was in, was really great. I really liked Fletcher, I think his name was. He was, you know, returning from, of course, he was in Casino Royale and Quantum of Solace. He was great in this one. Yeah, really solid all the way through. I think it's Daniel Craig's best performance as Bond as well, I'll say that. He has the Sean Connery charm still that he'd, you know, and the brutalness that he'd sort of brought through the first run of his movies. But that cheekiness that Roger Moore sort of really brought into the character was really shining through here. And I think you can really see which bits Phoebe Waller-Bridge wrote for this movie. And she's a brilliant writer, one of the best people working in Hollywood at the minute. So I think she was perfect addition to the writing team for this movie. Another thing I feel this film really just suffered from was the villain. Really weak villain with Rami Malek. Not Rami Malek's fault. He's a great actor. We all know he is. And I don't necessarily even blame all the writing for this, because I know that there was trouble with the filming of this one when Daniel Craig had to have an operation on his ankle because of an accident on set. I know that their schedules were conflicting, Rami Malek and Daniel Craig, so I know there was a lot of issues there, but unfortunately it did make the film suffer. You know, weak villain. However, overall I did like this movie. You know, I gave it a 7 out of 10 in my review, and here I'm going to bump it up to a 7.5 out of 10. It's a pretty damn good movie, you know. It's got its issues. I don't think it's perfect. I don't think it's the best Bond film. I don't think it's the worst. In my Craig ranking, obviously, it's sitting around the middle. If I was to rank all of them, which I'm not, but if I was, I think it'd still probably sit around the middle. No Time to Die is a really good film with a few problems. Coming in second place is going to be my first Bond film that I saw at the cinema. And that is Skyfall. Skyfall was a big deal. It was a big anniversary film for Bond, and I remember it being really hyped up. I remember my parents being super excited for this one, and the trailers were fantastic for it. And I remember the year this came out, got to see it in cinema, and then it was my last year at school. And you know, like when you're at school and you finish your exams, but you still have classes to do, but I got nothing left to teach you because you've done your exams. Every bloody teacher at my school was showing this movie. So I think I saw it about 50 times the year this came out. But this film was really, really great. First off, let's start off with talking about the action sequences again. Again, the film opens up so well. They do the obvious, oh, Bond dead? Bond dead? Is he dead? Is he? Of course he's not. It's the start of the bloody movie. So I like that. But it moved into the title sequence really well, which I also liked. Adele doing the song. Really good Bond song, actually. I think she done a fantastic job. And the movie brings you down to a bit more of a grounded Bond, which I really like. And I like the fact that he's struggling to get back into, you know, being the 007. You know, he's struggling. He's been away for a bit. And I think it works really well for the character. Some good development there for him. Bringing in the new side characters, of course. We got some original ones with Moneypenny and Q. I think they cast Moneypenny incredibly well. I forget the actress's name, but she's fantastic in this. And she is in Spectre and No Time to Die as well. Q, I'm a bit more used to an older Q, but I still really like him in these movies. You know, he's got that kind of snarky attitude that Bond would have with Q. And then, of course, Ralph Fiennes is in this movie. I love Ralph Fiennes. Genuinely, maybe a top 10 actor for me. So, seeing him coming into Bond was really exciting. Especially since he'd been out of the big franchise universe here, you know, because he'd sort of gone straight from Harry Potter almost to Bond, which I thought was cool. And yeah, the film has a great villain with Javier Bardem's character. And it has the really awesome scene where he sort of pulls half his face out. That shocked me in the cinema. I thought it was awesome. And it's like the first Bond film without a proper Bond girl in. I know that there's one girl in it who's in it for like 2-3 minutes, literally. But I think it's really unique that for this movie they decided, you know, we won't do that. We ain't got time for that. Let's actually focus on developing Bond and Judi Dench's character's relationship. Because this is, of course, Judi Dench's last movie. We're all expecting an emotional farewell for her, and we really got it. It was almost like Bond was losing a mother figure. And the ending of this film really did get to me a bit, I must say. And I think because with Bond in No Time to Die, it was a bit more like, oh, I just don't feel like Bond should die. You know, when I was watching it in the cinema for the first time, I had that bit of sweetness where I was like, it was done well, but it doesn't feel right. This felt right. This one, I think it worked a lot better, personally. But as I say, I'm warming to the No Time to Die one. But yeah, I think this worked a lot or not a lot. I think it's worked slightly better at the minute. I'm in that mindset. But Skyfall, I think the reason I slightly prefer Skyfall to No Time to Die, because these are the two which I see people sort of flip-flopping. I've seen No Time to Die at a lot of people's people's number 2s, and Skyfall at 3. So they always seem to be flip-flopped with rankings lately. The reason I personally prefer Skyfall over No Time to Die, I think, is purely because the film flows almost perfectly. The film has incredible pace into it. I wouldn't trim the film down at all. It flows and moves really well as a movie. I'm going to give Skyfall an 8 out of 10. And of course, coming in at number 1, Casino Royale. I mean, this film is so good. You can tell this film was very heavily influenced by, like, The Dark Knight in terms of it being, like, we've got these serious action, or we got these classic characters get these very serious, grounded, you know, films down. Even though what The Dark Knight came out after this, but you know, I think like it was. I think this kind of era of action movies like that were all heavily influencing each other. Like it was a big thing, and I think it's great because it made Bond feel more realistic again after getting things like Die Another Day. And it made Bond feel like that great classic agent. I think we get one of the best Bond girls and Bond villains in this movie with Mads Mikkelsen and Eva Green. Incredible casting for both of them. Like, both so well done. And both their characters written brilliantly. Also, the opening sequence, while it's not one of my favourites, the song is incredible. I forget who does it, but the song for this film is definitely my favourite of the Daniel Craig era songs. Really great. And I think this film was just really smart. The tension was there. Like, of course, Casino Royale, we're going to be watching this poker game for a lot of the movie. But I think it just perfectly cut away to action sequences and timed the action sequences. Like, at the perfect times where it kept the story flowing, kept your interest, and kept it feeling like a Bond movie. I just think that this film moves fantastically well. The action sequences are really well shot. I like the way that the story ends. There's some emotion there. And then, of course, it does tease where we could potentially go in the next movie. Casino Royale, I'm going to give a 8.5 out of 10 to. Really, really solid movie. Like, genuinely. Really great. Might be my favourite Bond film ever. Like, it's an incredible movie. But there we go. There is my Daniel Craig James Bond ranking. Let me know in the description how you'd rank them. I've tried to give reasons as best I can. I know people aren't going to agree, but hey, you know, it's all opinions. This isn't fact. But I hope you guys have enjoyed this video nevertheless. And I'll end this video, of course, the same way I ended my review, by saying thank you to Mr. Daniel Craig and everyone who's made these movies, because they've been a really fun time. You know, there's been some lows. There's been some lows. And then there's been some highs. Some really, really high highs. So it's been a fantastic little journey. Daniel Craig really has been one of the best Bonds. He's been absolutely fantastic in the role. And yeah, very, very excited to see where we go next. Who the next Bond's going to be. And where the story goes after you bloody did that at the end of No Time to Die. Like, where are we going next? I want to know. I'm curious. So yeah, thank you so much for watching as always, guys. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, like the video, leave a message, and as always, I'll see you next time for another video. Bye bye.